Welcome, Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button below if you'd like to help support my channel by subscribing. Also a bell to be notified as to when I upload more content. I'm coming to you from Ghana country, and as such I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of the land upon which I reside. So this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about etiquette, especially when it comes to participating in public events, even workshops really, or if you have been guested into a convent. And I get it. I know for some people there can be a bit of a difficulty between navigating, say, from a solitary practice to that of a group and where there are other people. And as such, I thought I'll put together this short video, hopefully it's short, just to give you some ideas or insight as to what's expected of you. And just bear in mind, this is coming from my own personal experience and what I personally expect or hopefully will see in people who come to my events, and other leaders or MCs, shall we just call them, may have their own requirements. But yeah, just consider some of these points. The first one is to take self-responsibility. And by this, I mean knowing what time the event starts, as opposed to what time you can turn up. If it is a ritual, it may say that it starts at, say, 7:30. You don't turn up at 7:30. You turn up a little bit earlier. Our good sort of rule of thumb, especially for me, is we're about 10 minutes to 15 minutes earlier than the allotted time. If it's a public event, just make your way to the meeting place. If it is, say, at someone's house or there's a door or a gate that might not yet be open. So just utilize that time while you wait, and maybe a little bit of reflection. Why you are here? What do you hope to get out of the event? What are you able to contribute? Maybe some meditation. Try and refrain from scrolling, because what you're wanting to do when you turn up to events, and this could also be with workshops as well, is to start getting yourself into that mindset. So to stop busying the brain, sort of like coming into your body, and let the sort of external world just do its thing while you become more focused on the task at hand. If the door or the gate is open and you can enter, or well and good, but do so respectfully, and I'm going to be repeating that word, mindful of any noise that you may be making, because the person may be meditating, getting their own selves into that right frame of mind. They might be engaged in a private discussion with somebody else. And if so, just show a little bit of courtesy and don't sit within earshot, making a hell of a lot of noise. If you see that they are still setting up, maybe ask if there's something that you can do. If not, just remain quiet. Find a seat. Just take in the energy or the essence. If they are like myself, sometimes I'm busy scribbling notes, or I've got last minute thoughts or something like that. So it's just like, if you're coming barging in, announcing your presence, you're going to disrupt my train of thought. So just do it quietly, respectfully, and your attention or your presence will be noted. If it's a public event, if it's a ritual, if you're attending a rite, then, in regardless of whether it's public or private, I guess, basic courtesy is to turn off your mobile phone. I know that can be difficult for some people, and if you are on sort of like on call, or you're waiting for important calls, well then explain that to the leader, the organizer of the event. but then turn your phone on to silent or vibrate. So only you will be made aware if it rings, and then you can excuse yourself respectfully. In some of my circles, I even ask, it's not a requirement, but I tend to not have watches on. I even like to be barefoot on the earth, even in the middle of winter. It's just personal preference, but that's just me. I would also like people, and I really don't believe I have to say this to adults, to be mindful and observant of their own basic personal hygiene. And not necessarily whether you've bathed or not. I'm talking about even the clothes you are wearing. Don't pick up that jumper that's been lying on the floor for the last year and a half that you've never washed and wear that into a sacred space, let alone if you're wanting to get a ride from somebody else. Wearing dirty clothes, especially filthy clothes like that, is actually quite insulting, and not to mention distracting in a circle. And then we'll not even going to get into the energetics there. Another bugbear of mine are people who continue to socialize after we've sort of gathered together and I'm either giving out the preliminary sort of instructions or explanation or welcoming people into the circle, or even when the circle has started and all I'm hearing, and I've still got good hearing at my age, is this little buzz where people cannot shut up. Even if the rite is not for you, if you're attending because of somebody else, be mindful and respectful of what's going in. Often instructions are being given and you can't take them on board if you are chatting. Not to mention you're affecting other people. And it's just plain rude. If you don't understand, if you're completely new, you don't understand what's going on, just follow the lead of everyone else. And naturally, there are exceptions to the rules, which I'll get to in a moment. Rituals, and regardless of how maintained, sort of tight they are, or how loose they are, how casual they are, or how formal they are still overall a place that's created to be sacred, regardless of whether you believe in that sacredity or not. So it should be treated as such. This means that if you want to bring into that sacred space something that maybe you use in your own personal practice, about showing some respect to the leader and actually asking if that's okay. Not you bringing it out mid-ritual, which can disrupt the flow, not to mention the energy of what's happening, what's building up. If you want to, say, in your private practice, you dance and sing and vocalize, again, ask the leader if that's okay. If not, be respectful. This is not your right. This is someone else's right. Be mindful that we're working with energy as well. So if you start doing hand gestures, which are not called for, are not asked for, again, you are disrupting the flow of energy. And it doesn't take much to ask. And the worst they can do is say no. And that's okay. Leave it for your own practice, or maybe another time. Give it a little bit of prior warning. Say you would like to contribute. Also, when someone is reciting something, do not think that you know what they are saying so you can join in. There are specific times within a ritual format, especially a public format, and especially the ones that I run, where it is called for group participation, and I will indicate such. Other times, everybody who is supposed to be there is supposed to be getting into the mindset, feeling the essence, listening to the words that are being spoken, not chatting. Even if you think you, as I said, you know what's being said and you're vocalizing it, sometimes it might be channeled. Sometimes it might be changed. What you're actually doing is disrupting the flow. If you want to leave the circle for whatever reason, again, be respectful. If you can get the attention of the leader or the MC, as opposed to like walking right across the circle and yelling at them, maybe put up your hand, ask the person next to you, see if they can cut you out of the circle. If this is not possible, or you really need to go out for whatever reason, simply face the outside of the circle, visualize, imagine a door being opening, or render the veil. Put your hands together and like you're parting a curtain. Step outside, turn around, close it back, so you're joining up the energy again. Just because you don't see something doesn't mean it's not real. If the leader or the MC cuts a doorway, use that doorway. Do not see that as a sign to just wander off through whatever part of the circle you may be standing in. Show some respect, use that process. Even if it doesn't align with your own personal practice, again, you're not doing your own right, you are attending someone else's. If you arrive late, and this is probably more in public spaced rites, and the ritual has already begun, wait until the MC or the leader cuts you in. Don't just barge in. Don't yell and huff and puff on the sidelines to get their attention. They will be aware that you are there, and at the right appropriate time, they will let you in or not, depending on where the ritual is. If you are not allowed in, treat that respectfully and maybe observe from the outside. For whatever reason, you arrived late. Again, the world does not revolve around you. It revolves around the person who's running the rite, and there could be a number of reasons as to why that rite has to be done at a certain time. For some rule of thumb, especially for newbies, most circles, not all, but most, are usually conducted what's called Jiso or sunwise. So this means that this is the way that the circle is cast. This is the direction often that, say, the 4 quarters are called in. This is the way that people move or should move around a circle. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, that is anti-clockwise. And again, it all adds up to the energetic flow. Of course, there are times too when the opposite, which is Wiedershin's, takes place. And your best guide will be the leader of the rite that you are attending. If you are asked or given the opportunity to participate, like at my full moons, I ask for volunteers who want to call in a quarter, and you can do that and you're comfortable at doing that, then fine, but do it respectfully. Remember that you are dealing with elementals. These elemental beings reside on our plane. We might not be able to see them with our awareness. We can certainly see the effect of them. So they need to be treated with respect. They are not things to be thrown out or dragged in. They are beings, elemental kings, rulers in their own right. And I've even done a video on it. So educate yourself on what the elemental beings are. And when someone is calling a quarter, focus on maybe what the element means to you. Refrain from utilizing what you do in your own personal space, especially if you do symbols or chant or whatever, if that's not called for, or if you have not asked permission to do that, because that could be actually distracting to other people. And the best rule of thumb is, if you're unsure, just stand quietly. There are times, however, where it's a process called call and response is used. And these are usually like phrases such as blessed be, so mote it be, hail and welcome, hail and farewell, where there's what we call and response. I say blessed be, you say blessed be back. I say hail and welcome, you say hail and welcome back. Really, there are no other times, unless it's specifically asked for, that you should be talking in the circle. Again, keep in mind that you are a guest. Now, this is regardless of whether it's a workshop, if it's a private event, like in a coven, if it's a public event, you are still a guest. It is not your circle. If you have any questions, these can be raised either before or after the ritual. And another thing, probably most important, with all of that aside, enjoy yourself. But you need to be respectful. You need to be aware of other attendees. And that also includes the leader, the MC. Otherwise, if you're not listening and they have to keep repeating themselves, you're actually drawing away from their own enjoyment of their own right. And in turn, that may almost backfire for you. You may not be invited back again if you cannot follow simple instructions. At the end of the day, the choice is up to you. If you don't like being told what to do in circle, don't attend a public rite that someone else has organized. Organize your own, or remain a solitary. It's when you start interacting with other people, you need to be mindful of everyone else around you. And now I've been doing public rites for 20 odd years. And it's when people listen, when people follow instructions and also contribute, not just stand back and let everybody else contribute, but when there's times of adding their own energy, and that could be through visualization, moving in the right direction around the circle, chanting when it's been asked to chant. Simple little things like that. When everybody contributes, then everybody enjoys the experience. And then you'll be invited back. So those are just some of the pointers in particular. As I said, in relation to the circles that I run, that I look for, that when people do that, just irritates me, because again, it's distracting me. Often in my public rites, like the full moons, they're not a teaching circle. I'm not teaching you my tradition. I'm teaching you, if anything, I'm giving you the opportunity to experience working with other people. In my teaching circles, what I teach, again, is not my tradition, and as your initiate, it is giving you some basics that you can still use to enhance your own private practice, but do not think that what you read is something that will easily and usually be sort of translated or fit into a public event. If you want to contribute more than what you feel you're given the opportunity to, ask. Maybe not on that night, but maybe on another night. So let me know what your thoughts are. What are some of your big peeves? Maybe you've been in circles and you find some leaders are overbearing. They don't allow people to contribute. Or what's some of your best ritual experiences? Do you play an active part, as in a vocalizing part? Or are you just a participant soaking in the energy? So I hope that has been a little bit of assistance for some people. I will link the video to the elements below, because I don't know how to do it up there. And until then, thanks.